Think you could take me?
Don't forget me!
Think you can take me? Think you could take?
Don't forget me! Nice. Yeah, right. I like that. Hey guys, Nishquick here, and I am once again joined by Blood Aura, and we are talking now about Xenoblade Chronicles, the series, and specifically why we're excited for the Wave 4 DLC. And Blood Aura, you want to mention your content and mention your channels that you work on real quick once again?
Yeah, so I live stream all of my content over on Twitch and twitch.tv/BloodAura. Link will be in the
link is in the description for YouTube and Twitch.
And then all of my content, my highlights and like my best reactions and stuff, I edit them into funny clips and stuff, and I post them over on YouTube. And I'm a huge fan of all things Nintendo. I love JRPGs, any JRPG. Some anime.
Yeah, fun stuff. Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about Xenoblade, and we're going to be talking about some of our favorite Xenoblade Chronicles games, memories, and all leading into the Wave 4 DLC. Yes, the Minato is here, and it is also here too. So we're going to look into the future and the past and see like what we think we're going to see in Wave 4 and like why we're excited. And a lot of these past Xenoblade memories will kind of lead into our excitement for Wave 4, because a lot of characters and a lot of places will be back once again in Wave 4. So yeah, let's kick it off. So once again, a quick disclaimer: if you haven't beaten Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, or 3, there will be spoilers here. Stick around if you want, but if you are like wary about spoilers, I would suggest leaving.
Make sure you finish Xenoblade 3.
Yes.
Make sure.
Yes.
Do not spoil yourself on this amazing series.
Yes, very important. But I wanted to ask you, Blood Aura, how did you start off? Like, which game did you start off with in the Xenoblade series, and what are like some of your favorite games, and what are some of your favorite memories with Xenoblade?
So I am what I consider myself an OG. I'm not the OG. The people that started off with like Xenosaga and Xenogears. But I started off with vanilla Xenoblade on the Wii.
Oh,
that was my first Xenoblade game.
Nice.
Yep. First Xenoblade game. I got into it right off the bat. That was an expensive
That's not
Wii
even
game.
Me, so much respect to you for starting off all the way back then.
Yep, I started playing it actually before Smash 4 came out. Or is that the one where Shulk came?
Yes, I actually like heard about Xenoblade before Smash 4, but as a kid I could care less. I was like, Xenoblade, this is very lame. I don't care about it. I don't care if it doesn't come to the West or not. Because I was like a kid.
Project Rainfall.
Yeah.
All these people that are trying to get it localized. I
hope you fail.
They must be crazy.
But I
hope they fail.
All I cared about then was like Pokemon, Mario, and Zelda. I could care less about anything else. But then when Smash 4 came out, I heard about Shulk, figured out who Shulk was.
But, this guy can see into the future. What's this about?
Yeah, I thought that was cool, like a lightsaber that can see in the future. That's awesome. But
yeah, a lightsaber, yeah.
But how, like, from Xenoblade 1, where did your journey go? Did you continue with X, or did you continue with 2, or how did it go post Xenoblade 1?
So yeah, I played every Xenoblade game in sequence after the original Xenoblade. We can talk more about our opinions on all the other Xenoblades, but I'd like to hear how you started in Xenoblade yourself.
Yeah.
And how you progressed through the series.
For me, it's very different because like I always knew about Xenoblade, and I remember even like my cousin was like, once he was like, oh, I don't know what game to play, I don't know what to get into, and I was like, oh, you should play that Xenoblade game where Shulk is from. I heard it's pretty good. You should give it a shot. And this was 2015, and I hadn't even played it. And then my cousin comes back to me and is like, dude, you should play this game. It's really good. And I'm like, maybe one day.
That's how I felt about the Persona series.
Yeah.
We can have a conversation about that some other time.
Yeah, Persona is also another story. Yeah, we should do a Persona discussion as well. But with Xenoblade, I didn't get into it until that same cousin was like, hey, the remastered, the definitive edition is coming on the Switch. You should give it a shot. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. it was great though. Like it took a while to get into it because it was. Yeah. I would say Xenoblade was one of the first big, major, heavy JRPGs I've ever played, aside from like Persona and Fire Emblem and stuff. So it was a little bit of a learning curve, but once I got hooked onto the story, the characters, the gameplay, there was no coming back. And once I beat the first game, I was like, I need to, like, I was like, I heard about, like, some people say the second one's good, some people say it's not so good. But I took the plunge, I went straight into it, and the second one was amazing. And the hype for Xenoblade 3 was real. Loved, like, the whole lead up to the game. Loved the game.
Did you play Xenoblade X?
I did. Actually, my Wii U is sitting right next to me, right over here.
Did you play that after Xenoblade 1, or did you play it
I played it after 2 and before Xenoblade 3. So, like, the summer, like, basically, like, the summer before Xenoblade 3 came out. Like May, June, before July, I played a bit of X. I'm still working on it right now. I still haven't beaten it, but I'm really enjoying it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But
back to what you were saying, like, yeah, to get like when you start Xenoblade, you're like, oh, it's this big game, and like that's a lot of people like turn off point. But the hook for Xenoblade 1, at least Xenoblade 1, is so strong. All you need to do is play those first 2 hours to instantly get hooked into the rest of the game.
Because
I know if I want to get other people into the series, all I have to have them do is play those first 2 hours of the first game.
And it's great.
I watch their reactions unfold.
And we're like, we had the spoiler warning before this, but like basically, like I did not expect one of the people who I thought to be one of the main characters to die immediately, and I was like, wow, that was not what I expected.
Especially because she's like playable. Yeah, and that's like another like unique. That's like a unique thing that Xenoblade does.
Yeah,
like
love
they did
interest,
it. They did it in 2 too.
Yeah.
Like they make a character like playable, and then you think you just get a, like, okay, cool, this is like a playable character. They program this in. They wouldn't take this away from us.
You know what's funny is now that I think about it,
they wouldn't take this away from us.
3 sort of did it as well. 3 sort of did it, but you see it coming way more.
But they didn't, and that's where they get you. If you played the first one and the second one, you really think that character is going to be gone.
Yeah.
Because they did it in the first 2. And that's where they get you.
I'm actually not talking about Mio. I'm actually talking about Ethel in the sense that, like, think about, like, when you get Ethel.
But you can actually play as her.
Yeah, you can't play as Ethel. You can have her in your party, and you can have her in your party, and you can play as her class. But you're like, whatever. Ethel, like, yeah, she'll stick around. And, like, it gives you that warning. You're like, once you leave this area, you can't bring Ethel back in your party. And I'm like, oh, it's probably because she's just gonna be in Colony 4 or whatever. She's gonna do the stuff there. And then she dies, and you're like, dang!
Yeah. You're like...
yeah. But...
yeah, that was wild, too.
Yeah. But, speaking of, like, all of that, what are some of your, like, big, memorable moments from Xenoblade 1 and 2 and even 3, like, which... like will always stick out to you?
So I'm a huge crybaby. So obviously, a lot of my Xenoblade reactions involve me crying, and those are like always the most memorable. And it'll get to like one of my. This is weird. Like one of my most memorable points from Xenoblade 1 is where Shulk gets like the flashback for the first time. And he just sees like way into the future of the game, and like characters are shouting.
Yeah, he sees Melia, he sees the like giant that's possessed by Zanza and all that stuff. The whole Prison Island section, he sees it so far in advance.
Yeah, and it's like yeah, and then they have like Charla shouting like, I won't stop until I scrap each and every one of you, and you hear Shulk shouting like you know what he's shouting at Metalface.
Yeah.
And this may sound dumb, but every single time I rewatch that cutscene, it's always the part where Charlotte is shouting that she's gonna kill each and every single one of the Mechon that like I start to tear up.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
good.
know a lot of people in the Xenoblade fandom don't like Charlotte. Don't worry.
No,
I also am not the biggest Charlotte fan.
It's a good part.
That moment hits me every single time.
It's a good part because what I love about Xenoblade 1 is every single party member has a reason to be there.
You feel their pain.
Yeah.
You feel their pain.
Because
the pain is real.
For Charlotte, she lost her husband, or her then fiance, I guess, and then she's about to lose her younger brother, and she's like, I won't stop until I kill every single one of you. And you feel it. And then for me, the part that hits me the hardest is the fight with Momkar and Dunban in Valk Mountain, where Dunban's like, why did you do this? We were brothers, we were team members, we like fought together on the battlefield. Why would you side with the Mechon? And like you really see Momkar like go crazy. He's like, I want all this power, I want the Minato, I want to be like the strongest. And you see like Dunban is like this really chill, like very level-headed guy. And in that part of the story, you see him kind of break. He like kind of breaks his golden rule of like being the good guy. And he like later on in Galahad Fortress, he almost goes in and kills Metalface or Momkar. And Shulk has to be the one to be like, Dunban, don't do this. This is not the Dunban I know. You can't do this. And Dunban even like resists. He's like, Shulk, what are you doing? He killed my sister and everything. And he's like, well, we're gonna find Fiora again. And like, he's like, Homs, we want to like get to the bottom of this. And also that was a very, very great moment as well. Also, back to that Valak Mountain moment. So much stuff happens there. Fiora, who is Maineth, comes to like talk with Shulk. Shulk is very upset. There's the meme moment of, Fiora, it's Dunban over there.
It's Dunban over there.
And then there's the fight with Dunban and Momkar, and then we see Ego for the first time, and then he leaves with Fiora. And the part that gets me the most is when Shulk is running after him. He's like, we'll find you, we'll come get you, and we'll bring Fiora back. And he screams Fiora's name. He's like, Fiora! That one scream is like, that's... Everyone who says that Xenoblade has bad voice acting, go watch that cutscene. Go watch it and tell me again if it's bad, because that scream is like, it's painful in like a very emotionally charged way. Really, really good.
He's such a good voice actor.
Oh
too.
Yeah, Adam Howden's perfect. Yeah.
Adam Howden. Yeah.
But let's move on to Xenoblade 2. Yeah, let's talk about Xenoblade 2.
I'll let you go first. What's your favorite moment out of your most memorable moment?
Xenoblade 2, because we were talking about all these emotionally charged moments in Xenoblade 1. Xenoblade 2 is like the one game that made me like actually shed tears, because I will say maybe I might like the story better in 1. 2 has the emotion. 2 has the moments that hit you in the feels because of the music, the dialogue, the whole like thematic element that 2 has. It really gets you in the feels. Like, of course, when Vandam is killed and Mithra awakens for the first time, that's an amazing moment. For me,
yes, girl.
Yeah. For me, that's
a different conversation.
Oh yeah, entirely. But one of my favorite moments of Xenoblade 2 is when Nia accepts who she is and like reveals that she's a flesh eater and a blade. And everyone's like, ha, Nia got friend zoned or whatever. And I'm like, first of all, that's not the point of that scene, because like Nia is like showing who she really is. She's like basically she felt so embarrassed and ashamed of who she was. And when she like feels comfortable around Rex and everyone else, she's like, I don't feel like I'm not, I don't remember exactly what she says, but like, I don't have this burden on me anymore because I feel like I can be who I truly am. That was an amazing moment with Nia. And like, everyone's like, oh, Rex friend-zoned or whatever. And I'm like, first of all, we know what happens at the end of Xenoblade 3, so that's another discussion for another time. But like, Rex is also like a 15-year-old guy, and he's like just being a really like genuine dude there. So like, I felt like it was a very wholesome moment. And it's amazing with like Drifting Soul in the background and everything. That was a really great moment. Of course, the whole ending section with Jin, Amalthus, leading up to the Malos fight, the whole Malos fight, and then you meeting the Architect. Architect tells you everything. And then the whole ending sequence where you say goodbye to Numa, and it's such a very emotional, sad goodbye. And then you reunite with...
You took mine. You took mine.
Yeah, it's my personal favorite video game ending of all time. But you want to talk a little bit more about that as well?
Well, yeah. So for me, I was gonna say, like, I can't pick out like a whole lot because I'd just be talking about the entire game, because the whole game is just like really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the most like emotionally charged moment for me was definitely when Numa left Rex on the space shuttle.
Yeah.
And she was willing to like sacrifice herself to like save everybody. And you know, it's such an emotionally charged moment, and yeah, like it makes you cry. It makes you tear up.
Yeah, because like even me, like controversial opinion here, I'm not a fan of Poppy. I don't like Poppy. I think Poppy is very annoying and very silly or whatever. But Poppy, like, see, I knew this would happen.
See ya. Bye, chat. Goodbye, everybody.
But my thing is with Poppy has a very important role in that whole thing, because like Numa comes up to her and tells her, hey, don't help Rex like get to the other side and help me. And Poppy is like so heartbroken. She's like, Rex, I want to help you so much, but I can't, because like it's not the right thing to do. I made a promise to Pyra and Mithra, I can't do this. And that was very, very sad.
That moment too, that whole scene, just where Numa and like the Poppy plays in there, that whole scene. Yeah.
But I also, like, my favorite moment from that scene was when Zeke says something along the lines of, he's like, hey, you have to accept what she wants. She's the girl you love. You need to move on or something. And I'm like, bruh, Zeke here with all the comic relief, and now he's giving you the wisdom. Zeke, I love Zeke. One of the best characters.
Zeke's one of the best characters in the game.
Yeah. But yeah, Xenoblade 2 is an amazing game. I think it gets a lot of hate for very unnecessarily stupid reasons, and most of that hate...
service.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that hate is coming from people who haven't played the game or frankly know much about the game at all. So it's very silly to hear all that, especially when it has such amazing, powerful, emotional, amazing moments like these. Yeah.
Now, I think that Xenoblade 2 did have a little bit too much fan service, but we can talk about a game that I think did the fan service perfectly, and that's Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah, I think it did. It wasn't too, like, ham-fisted. It wasn't too cringy. It
wasn't in your face. It wasn't blatant.
It was just your average JRPG kind of game, you know? Yeah.
All the characters in Xenoblade 3 were amazing.
Yeah, I think Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has my personal favorite party member cast out of any game. And I wanted to ask you this question about Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Did you like the overall story for Xenoblade Chronicles 3? Because as I was playing the game, I wasn't looking at many like opinions and reactions and stuff. So as I was playing it, I was really enjoying it. And then when I beat the game, I looked at some reactions, and they're not what I was expecting. Everyone's like, oh, worst Xenoblade game, worst story, this, that. And at first, like, initially then, I was so confused. I was like, I don't understand why people are saying this. But as the months go on, I kind of understand a bit more. But you
can understand the criticism, but like it doesn't need to be like as harsh as like people made it out to be.
But I also think,
for me, like I played Xenoblade Chronicles 3 like you, and I didn't look up anything at all, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. I have more of like a critical eye, so like there were some things that I was slightly annoyed by, like I didn't like any of Mobius really.
The unnecessary Mobius I could care less, but when you got like N and M, I think N is one of my favorite villains of all time. So like N is the exception.
And then like what was it, J and
Yorin and D and
J, DJ, D and J. I wish like
Mobius DJ.
I wish that they had more on like on D.
Yeah,
you know,
because he's a cool character. When you see his backstory, it's really cool.
Yeah, I wish they fleshed out like more of a relationship with like different Mobiuses and stuff.
Did you like Shania? I want to ask that. I want to ask your controversial opinion on Shania. Because every opinion on... Here's my hot take.
Before we get to Shania...
is controversial, but I want to hear yours.
Yeah, before we get to Shania, let me finish with how I felt about the overall arcing story. Is that the story itself was amazing. The threat that was in the game felt kind of mid, because I didn't really care about the Mobiuses. They weren't villains that I really cared about. Like, X had like a cool design. Y was just like a gross, creepy old dude that I didn't really care for, and kind of annoying.
And then, like, nothing compared to Torna in Xenoblade 2 with like Malos, Jin, Akos, all those people.
And then, like, contrary to what like a lot of people say, I actually like really liked the final boss fight with
Zed.
With Zed, yes.
Yeah.
And even though reaction compilation coming in the future, even though I died in the middle of that boss fight and I had to restart everything.
Yeah.
I did
honestly same.
Yeah, I did really enjoy that boss fight, and the music for that is incredible. I know amazing, a lot of people don't care about the music for Zed. Now Zed as a character in general, I don't really care about Zed. He's mid to me.
I just hope we get more context in the DLC about why Zed is the way he is, because
we don't know anything about the Fog King yet.
Yeah, but we'll see about that. But I want to know your opinion on Shania. I want to know
my opinion on Shania. Okay, so originally, like, I was like, okay, Shania came into the picture, and not very shortly after, I could see where they were going with this character. That this character was definitely going to be the one that goes and betrays the group. Not shortly after, I was not expecting her to be from there on. I was not expecting her to be my most hated Xenoblade Chronicles character, because man, did they do a good job writing Shania. They wrote her so well, and they make the hate for her so real, and like it always pains me to say it when they write a character so good, like they did their job. They made you hate that character, and like I hate Shania. I hated Shania with a passion.
But you, let me confirm this as well. Did you also play Senna's side story?
I did, yes.
Okay, so that's good. So you know everything.
That did not lighten the blow at all.
Yeah.
I still hate Shania.
I will say this.
But I did like her backstory, and it gave me more insight on how she became the way she did. But that does not at all lighten my feelings towards Shania and what she did in the overall arcing story.
I will say, like, I think
like I don't think that's like a redemption for Shania.
Yeah.
And I don't think she deserved a redemption, because she's supposed to be that character that you despise, you know, and she's written that way, and she's written good, in my opinion.
I think Shania reminded me of another character. Like, well, first of all, I'll say this: there are villains who are written so well that you sympathize with them or empathize with them, or there's villains that are written so well that you hate them so much. Each Xenoblade villain, or each Xenoblade game, has those kinds of villains. Like, the sympathetic villain in 1 is Egil, but the one you hate the most is Metalface or Mumkar. In 2, the sympathetic villain for me was Jin, but the one you hate the most is Amalthus. Oh boy, I hate Amalthus so much. Ever since I met him, I was like, I wanna like punch you. I don't like him at all. And then
do we even need to talk about Torna? And like the most like the easy like hateable villain in Torna.
Yeah.
Like, obviously.
Oh yeah, in Torna, of course. Yeah, let's talk about him. Gort, I hated Gort so much because Gort, like, he just says stuff and is like the way he is. You just hate him so much. And then at the end of the game, when he's that weird blade eater kind of guy, Jin is like, let's just put this man out of his misery, and you're like, yeah, let's go. And then you kill him off.
And then there's 3, and 3 does not really. Well, they have Shania. They don't really have a villain that you sympathize
For
with.
me, it was N. For me, it was N, because N had, like, you see N's past, you see how many times he's failed. He tries to pick himself back up, and he's failed so many times. He's so, like, downtrodden and hurt so much. All he wants to do is be with Mio, the one he loves so much, that he'll do anything for that to happen. He becomes Mobius, destroys his family, and he goes on a killing spree for 1,000 years just to be with Mio. And to me, I was like, wow, that's insane that they like went that far with N, which is very cool, but it's also very sad. But for Shania, I wouldn't say Shania had that kind of Amalthus vibe for me, like from the time you meet her till the end of chapter 5, because I was like, there's something not right. Like this girl isn't giving me the right vibes. The way she's talking to Senna, the way she's like being very shady and manipulative, and then she like goes against you, and then in the end you try to save her but you can't. It's unfortunate how that goes down, but I really liked Senna's side story because you see what made her become like this. You see that her family wasn't supportive. You see that she had so much pressure to live up to this like standard. You see that Gondor, who was supposed to be a friend, was also not supportive in the way that she should have been, and all that made her become into this resentful, sad person that she was. But what's kind of interesting is like Shania does go out in a very, like, I wouldn't say happy way, but in a more positive way than usual. She like comes to the realization, and Gondor is like, yeah, whatever. They have that dialogue, and then she moves on. But I will say, a little tease for our discussion about Wave 4. I think Shania will have her redemption in Wave 4, but it may not be the way that we think it will be. So yeah.
So I guess the reason why I was not thinking of N off the top of my head as a sympathetic character is because to me, like, he is different, but for me, like, I always just like saw him as like a different part of N, a different part of Noah, you know? It's just Noah. It's just a different side of him than he could be. But he is technically, you know, like the character that you like sympathize with towards the end for that game. Yeah,
with N, like when I first saw the official art of N after the Xenoblade 3 Direct, I was like, evil Noah, whatever. Yeah, that's just another Xenogears reference. Whatever, right? But I think they really did a good job of separating Noah and N, and I really have to hand it to Mr. Harry McIntyre for doing an amazing job voicing both characters and making it so that both, like in the English dub, when you hear N, you like without seeing anything on screen, you know it's N because of the way he's speaking, the way he's talking, the way he has that resentful, hateful voice. And then you hear Noah, and Noah's got that more hopeful, optimistic voice, and it's the same guy, and he's doing such a good job with it. Anything else you want to say about Xenoblade Chronicles 3? Like, what are some of your favorite moments in Xenoblade 3?
So I will say that obviously Xenoblade 3 is the one that made me cry the hardest.
Yeah.
Video on that.
Chapter 5.
Yeah, chapter 5. But like obviously that's gonna be the one that everyone calls out. Other moments, you know, it's just like, you know, the characters for me are just incredible. I'm trying to think. The battle between Ethel and Kamaravi was also
that was so good.
Blown out of the water.
That was amazing.
And I was so like, oh, they're not gonna kill Ethel. And then they completely destroyed me. Because like at the beginning, Ethel was like my favorite character in the game, like so far. Yeah. And then the way she went out, and the way that Kamaravi goes, and he stabs his eye to like get rid of the control that the Mobius has on him. That was one of the best scenes I've ever seen in a JRPG ever, is when Kamaravi goes and he takes out his own eye so he can continue battling Ethel, because they just respect each other so much. And they just want to keep fighting it out.
I thought that was a very profound moment in the game, because they had this rivalry and they're like, we're not going out because Mobius wants us to go out. We want to go out the way we want to go out, and that is by having like a battle between the two of us, long lasting rivals. And like you see them like having like, they're like fulfilled. They're like, this is how we wanted it to happen, this is how we wanted it to go. And I wouldn't say they're happy, but they're kind of like fulfilled, and like, we're not going out by the hands of Mobius, it is our own doing. And Noah and Mio are very upset by that, but you kind of realize what they're going for a little later on in the story as well. So it's a very, very powerful moment, very great moment in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's
but
incredible.
I also, like, of course, Chapter 5 was amazing because Chapter 5 has that very amazing montage sequence when they're in prison with the music. Very well done. And, like, I was like, wow, they're actually doing this. They're actually gonna kill off Mio. Like, the whole thing about the game was like, we have to like get to Sword March and defeat Mobius before Mio time runs out. And Mio's whole thing was like, my time is running out, what am I supposed to do? That amazing emotional scene with her and Noah where they're like talking about things and like revealing their feelings, and then in the end, like, you make it and you're almost about to lose, and then that amazing plot twist happens and you're like, wow, that's great. Because I think that plot twist, in my opinion, was better than the Fiora plot twist. The Fiora plot twist was great because you're like, Fiora, like, we thought you were gone, but you're back. That like changes the whole narrative. But with Mio, it like made so much sense because like they did that swap and you didn't even know it happened, and you're like, wow, that's so cool. Yeah. How did, any thoughts on that? You want to speak on that?
It was just so well done.
Yeah.
The way that they make you think that she's actually gone, and just the lead up to it, and like the funniest thing is that the first thing that made me cry in that whole scenario was like when like Manana just brought over like
the food. And
she brought over the food, and she actually frowned for like the first time.
Yeah, and you're like,
I was like, no, Manana is like always, she's the most upbeat one, and for her to just, her to be sad, and she's always supposed to be the one that's like, the most hopeful and the most like trying to keep the spirits up of everybody. Yeah. And just to see her like sad, it just like ruined me. That's where I started losing it. And from then on, it was just like a downward roller coaster.
The one that got me the most is when Senna was like, I wish I had done more. I wish I had done so much more for Mimi or whatever. And Mio on the other side, or like, she also was like, I wish I knew what was happening with Shania. I wish I could have stopped it. And Mio on the other side was like, you've done so much for us. There's no need for you to feel any regret. You've done so much, and we're thankful for everything you've done. And Senna's like, I'm so sorry. And Mio's like, don't apologize. You don't have to. And she again says, I'm so sorry, or whatever. But yeah, that was a very good part, which got to me because I think Senna is a very overlooked character, and I really, really enjoyed her role in the story. That many other people were like, oh, Senna is nothing, Senna was not much in the game, but I saw a lot of very good Senna moments in the game. So that might be a good video idea in the future, to talk about like all of the cool things Senna has done. But let's transition over to the Wave 4 DLC, because that's dropping hopefully very soon. I feel like it's coming sooner than we think, but I also, like, we both had very big reactions to that. Like, the reason I talked about Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 leading up to this Wave 4 is because this Wave 4 DLC is the culmination of everything. Xenoblade 1, Future Connected, Xenoblade 2, Torna, Xenoblade 3, and now this. Except for Xenoblade X, which will get its love one day. But
don't get my hopes up. I have been waiting. I have been stuck on this cliffhanger for way too long. I'm trying to move on. I don't think we're ever getting into Xenoblade X. But let's continue to the Wave 4 DLC talk.
But thoughts on that teaser, and like what do you want to see with this? What do you want to see with Wave 4, and like what are your biggest hopes, I guess?
So we gotta start with asking, what do we think are going to? Who are we playing as? Are we playing as the new founders? Are we playing as the original characters and we're getting new heroes? Is this going to be the past? Is this going to be the present? there's so many questions that are just hanging in the air that we don't know.
I think it is very much a Founders DLC, where the 6 party members will be the founders, except for Shulk and Rex, who, because I don't know if you read the statue descriptions, but the founders of House Cassini and House Reed are young, and Shulk and Rex are their mentors. Shulk is the mentor of House Reed, Rex is the mentor of House Cassini. So I think they will take the place as the party members instead of those actual founders. But I think Reed and Cassini will join you in the party like how Milton and Mikhail did in Torn of the Golden Country. Okay. And they'll be like the little kids along the way, whereas Shulk and Rex are teaching them how to be stronger. But here's the cool thing. Do you remember what Shania's last name is? It's Shania Reed. So I think that, first of all, the founder of House Reed is confirmed to be, of course, the ancestor to Shania, because founder Reed, Shania Reed, right? But it's also said on the statue that the founder of House Reed is a female founder. So, and here, if you remember in Torn of the Golden Country, they reused the asset for Niall as Hugo in your party. So I think that the founder of House Reed is going to be like, her name won't be Shania, but she will look like Shania. And it'll be like, we will see this ancestor of Shania, but have a much happier and more fulfilled life. So that's what I was hinting at, like the Shania redemption arc. And I do have a video of that on my channel. Whoever is watching the video, this podcast right now, you guys should check that out. But yeah, it's me speculating who the founders of House Cassini and House Reed are. But I don't know about the House Cassini mentor. I thought maybe that could be like a Gondor ancestor, but I think that founder of House Reed has to be a Shania ancestor. Like, that's a definite thing, I think.
Why don't we talk about what has to be probably the biggest reveal for the Xenoblade 3 DLC trailer?
Giga Chad Rex.
Well, that's also a big reveal. But what I was hinting towards was Elvis technically probably being like our final boss for what.
And he has this sword. He has the original sword. Minato.
Yeah. And Shulk does not.
Yeah. So. Do you remember what Elvis says in Xenoblade 1 though? He says, "I am the Minato. I will proclaim the beginning and the end." So I do think that you might have heard this theory as well, but we've had 25 Mobius. We're missing Console A. Alvis is A. I think he's the first Mobius. I think he's the one who creates X, Y, and Z. He's the one who sets this whole thing into motion. I think it's Alvis, because even at the end of Xenoblade 1, he asked Shulk, what do you want to do with this world? You are now the new god of this world. What do you want to do? Shulk says, I want a world with no gods where people can choose what they want to do. And what did people choose to do when the world started merging? They chose to not want it. They're like, no, no, no. Thus creating Mobius. Alvis probably interfered and said, if this is what you guys want, it's Mobius time again.
It's Mobin time.
Yeah, exactly.
But
what do you think about that? What do you think about that theory?
Or
like any other thoughts about Alvis's presence within this story? What do you think he's gonna do?
So I'm not like the biggest like theorist. Like I'm known for like I'm just the React guy, you know. But I do think where Alvis, you know, Shulk wished for like a world with no gods, and I wonder if that's going to play into it at all into the Xenoblade 3 DLC.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
What made Alvis like corrupt, maybe?
Yeah, or go rogue. Yeah.
And then I also want to see in the DLC, I wonder if we're gonna get like more closure on like Klaus in them when they were at the conduit, and more closure on how they got to the point where they decided that was their only option, and then they blew up the entire existence and made a new world.
That would be really cool, because the thing about Klaus, one real quick thing I wanted to say is the architect, or Klaus in Xenoblade 2, says, Galea, I will see you again. Galea, who was like that other partner he had who became Maineth in Xenoblade 1. So we never saw Klaus reunite with Galea. So maybe we'll see that happen. I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah. And then another thing that I was thinking when I first saw the DLC reaction, I had a huge like Xenoblade discussion with like a bunch of my friends. And one of the things that we talked about is like what you were saying is that you think the founders are going to be playable, and I still think that there's like a possibility that they're not actually going to be the playable characters. Like we could technically get a situation where we have like Rex's kids as playable characters. Hear me out. This isn't just the Mithra fan in me.
Oh no, I'm down to hear this.
Baby Mithra.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we could see like Rex's kids like as playable characters, and then maybe they're even fighting alongside Rex and Shulk. I don't know, because Rex has both Aegis swords now, and it seems like Mithra and Pilot kind of like retired from fighting.
Yeah, and we would probably see maybe Shulk's kids as well, because he probably did have kids with Fiora, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah, I do want to see, because we have seen one of Rex's kids, if you believe in the theory that Mio is Nia's daughter. Which I kind of believe. I believe that. Yeah, because it's heavily hinted at. Nia just wants to say it, but she kind of doesn't, because at the same time she's like, do I say this because like Origin's gonna reset and no one's gonna like remember or whatever. But I do think Mio is the daughter of Rex and Nia. I do want to see who Pyra and Mithra's kids are, because I had this theory that Pyra's son is Kamaravi.
What?
And then I have another theory, or this was my initial theory.
Well, Kamaravi would have to be like well, I guess they wouldn't, because so much happened with the ages and then the reborn stuff.
Yeah, well, the same thing happened with Mio, so you could argue. Yeah. But another thing is, at first I thought Iserd could be Mithra's son, but someone mentioned in my comments, in my like
I hope not.
Yeah.
I need something else, please.
Someone mentioned in my YouTube comments for one of my videos that instead of Iserd, it could be Dirk, like Mobius D. He could be Mithra's son, because he looks like he could be like the son of Mithra and Rex, and that would be kind of sad, because like he's so evil. What made him turn this evil? But I guess it was just one version of Dirk that turned out to be this way. Maybe he wasn't like that outside of Ionios. I don't know.
Well, they could also be like girls too.
Yeah.
But that's possibly like less likely, because we already have Mio. Yeah. That could be.
I still think it is likely, because you know why? Yeah. One of the founder statue looks like Numa, and that could easily be one of their daughters. Like Pyra and Mithras, I mean.
Here's the thing, Numa doesn't really exist anymore, right?
Yeah, but she looks like Numa with the hairstyle I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, like, she could be either Pyra or Mithra's daughter, but I don't know. That is Numa doesn't exist, and
don't the kids have like, oh, I guess you don't see the statue's hair color. I was gonna say, don't the kids have like blonde and red hair too?
Because in my video talking about that, I'm like, if we can see the hair color, we'll know who the mother is, because if it's red, it'll probably be Pyra's daughter. If it's blonde, it'll be Mithra's daughter. But they could even throw a curveball and have it have the girl have like green hair or something, which would kind of not make sense, but it would be
I really do like the idea that you brought it up, that Kamaravi is actually Pyra's son.
That would be pretty cool, because I can totally imagine that, and he's like got that fire motif. He's got like that will of strength that Pyra and Rex have got, and I don't know. I can just totally see it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. When it comes to a lot of these like Wave 4 things, I do think we'll get a good solid story as well. But I did want to quickly mention that one big problem I had seen with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that people had was that there was not much fan service within the game itself. Did you have that problem?
People had a problem with that?
Surprisingly, because
see,
I thought
okay,
that,
so
okay, I'll say this: fan service meaning like not talking about like JRPG like fan service. I'm talking about like callbacks to the other games.
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, I should rephrase that. But,
that kind of fan service.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you think about? Did you think that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 lacked in the callbacks to the other games, or do you think that it was fine creating a story on its own?
I thought that it was fun, like finding all of the like Easter eggs and stuff. It was more of like a hunt to find like the things that were, you know, part of Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2. I do wish that they did like a few more callbacks to the original 2 games, but also because like I know most people were like, oh, it's gonna be both 1 and 2 combined, and they were expecting it to just be that. And like, no, it's gotta be its own game too. People can't just like it because it is 1 and 2 combined.
Exactly.
You know? It has to stand on its own and have its own content. You know. So I felt like they were very generous with like the Easter eggs they did throw in. I wish that they did add a couple more, but I understand why they didn't like go heavy into it.
Yeah.
As most people wanted them to.
Yeah. I was fine with it because like I wanted them to kind of prioritize the story they were trying to tell, as well as build this really good main party cast, because that's what they're really going for, and I think they did a very good job with that. And I feel like if other like people outside of Melia and Nia came into the story, it might have taken the focus away.
Yeah, because Melia and Nia were like a huge part like in the second half of the story. Well, not as much Melia, but Nia.
Yeah.
And then Melia was like more in like the post game.
Yeah. I will say this though. I think a lot of the people who are upset with the lack of callbacks will be very happy with this Wave 4 DLC. That's why I was like, did you feel this way? Because I feel like a lot that one issue which some people had is going to be rectified in this. And all
they had to do was show Alvis, and I already knew it was going to be a great DLC.
All they had to show was Giga Chad Rex as well.
Yeah. Do you like Rex? Do you like Rex or Shulk better?
Well, I'll say this. I have an entire like video idea for this, but like my appreciation for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has only grown exponentially post the game. Like after beating the game, after thinking about the game some more, after Xenoblade 3 was announced, and after beating Xenoblade 3, all those stages increased my appreciation for 2. And along with my appreciation for the game, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, my appreciation for Rex also increased. Like, of course, Shulk is a very good protagonist, very well written and all that.
I guess it's not really fair to just like be like, oh, do you like this one?
No, I think it's
they're both good in their own area.
They're both good, but it's a tough question because for me, I would say I relate to Rex more in the sense that like Rex in Xenoblade 2 reminds me of like me when I was his age, like that optimistic personality, that go-getter kind of guy. Like Rex really reminds me of myself when I was his age, so I have like that personal connection to Rex, but also like his tenacity, his determination. That's really awesome to see because he matures a lot throughout the game. Like think about Rex in the very beginning. He's like 100,000 gold, yeah, and then in the end he's like a mature, strong-willed, like emotionally mature kind of guy. And you're like, wow, you've changed so much from the beginning till the end. And then now look at him in Xenoblade 3. He's like jacked, buff. He's made it.
Right.
Yeah. And Shulk too. Shulk is a great, like, he's got a great arc. He's got his friends with him as well. He's a very supportive kind of guy. And of course you got Noah as well. Noah's an amazing protagonist. Noah and Mio are both very, very great protagonists. But
they did really good with making all of their main protagonists.
Yeah, but I guess like the one I have the personal connection to the most would be Rex. The one I like the most, maybe like a three-way tie. It's really tough to rank them. But what about you? Who's your preferred Xenoblade protagonist?
So it's hard to separate favorites because I love like all of the characters for all of the Xenoblade series. Especially 3, I feel like they definitely perfected like the characters and the group dynamic in 3, and they've really shown that they can, you know, make characters that work well with each other. Like if you compare the group from 3 to the group with 1, you can see that they definitely have advanced a lot in making like good, genuine characters that you can actually care about. With that being said, I do think that Shulk is a very good protagonist. He has his down moments, like where he doesn't share stuff with like his friends, you know, and you know, giving them heads up on stuff. Like some of that stuff's like a little bit annoying. But he's still like a good protagonist and all. I know there's some people that like don't like super care for Shulk as like a protag. And then Rex is definitely the one protagonist where, you know, he grows up. He's the one that, you know, starts with basically nothing, and then he's also, you know, young, so he's learning as he goes through the story. But he's still also a pretty good protagonist in general. Like he's just like the always positive character. And then especially when he has that moment where he loses Pyra Mithra.
Yeah, that was a great moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he, you know, he has to fight through that and, you know, figure out like what he's doing wrong, and that he lost his like determination and his will. And then fighting through that was a great moment for Rex too. And then you have Noah. I don't really have like too many like super defining moments for Noah that I can think of off the top
I
of my
think
head.
the cool things about Noah come from his will to kind of see that he's the one person in the world who sees that something is wrong, something isn't right. That also comes from like the essence of his sword that is giving that like feeling to him, because like it's the sword of Origin. It's got like all the emotions of people within Origin inside of it. He's like, something's not right, I need to fix this. And he is the one who's kind of like forcing that like change forward, and also seeing that like dichotomy with his like self and his other self, which is N, and seeing that like the opposites there was really good. And of course his relationship with Mio is my favorite like relationship within any Xenoblade game. Like the three romantic relationships, like Shulk, Fiora.
Yeah, their dynamic with each other was so good.
So genuine and wholesome. Like Shulk and Fiora is great. Rex and Pyra are great, but I think Noah and Mio are done very, very well. But any final thoughts you want to talk about Xenoblade the series or the Way 4 DLC or anything before we close out today?
So, I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm hoping we get to see more of Poppy. You mentioned how you don't like. You mentioned how you didn't really care for Poppy earlier. Well, I want to see more of Poppy.
Well, I think
give
we
me
might.
Poppy power.
I think we might, because we did see Poppy in the end of Xenoblade 3. So, if it's a prequel, I wonder if she's
still gonna be able to transform into like her other forms too. Like she's got to, right?
I think we might see more of Poppy. We'll...
So we touched on Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. We didn't go over how we feel about the Nopons. Because I noticed you mentioned that you were not the hugest fan of Poppy, and that got me thinking. What are your opinions on the main Nopons?
Well, I will say
1, 2, and 3.
I think Riku's my favorite. Riku's the best. And I really liked the Nopon and Future Connected, who were Ricky's kids. Ricky's cool, but I liked his kids a bit better. I will give a very unpopular opinion. Few of my friends will be very upset about this. But I will say that I actually kind of enjoy I am currently playing Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Don't put this in the ether. Don't say. No.
He's very silly and very stupid, but he's funny. It's funny. I think I like Tatsu better than Tora, so that's my hot take.
No, you do not say this. No.
Toro's alright. I had my issues with Tora.
Alright, everybody. This is going to be the last podcast that me and Nishquick do together. It's been fun. But...
Yeah, I slander Poppy, I slander Tora, and I praise Tatsu.
You do not.
The cardinal sins of Xenoblade.
You do not say that Tatsu's better than Tora.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
let me do. For me, my favorite is actually different than yours. My favorite actually turned out to be Manana.
Oh, Manana's great. Yeah, Manana's also very fun. Especially in the side quest, Manana's really funny, very great character.
Yeah, at first, I didn't really care for Manana. And then, as the story, went on, and the moment in Chapter 5 of Manana, and she's just, this always, positive and uplifting, Nopon, and she has, her fun moments where she wipes out an entire army of arachno spiders by herself, and she's now the most overpowered character in all of Xenoblade because she took out an entire horde of arachnos in one attack.
Yeah, I love her dance as well. She's like, oh yeah.
Her
dance.
But Riku's also great. But I would say for me, Tora is definitely my second favorite. And then I would say my third favorite would be Riki.
Yeah.
And then I would put Riku after Riki, and then I would put Tatsu all the way at the bottom in the dumpster in the garbage.
What do you think about Riki's kids?
I'm gonna double bag Tatsu just so that he doesn't get out and toss him.
What do you think about Ricky's kids, Kino and Nene in Future Connected?
Okay, so I feel like I didn't get enough time with them.
Yeah,
I didn't really get to create much of a bond with them because the story was not that long.
I like some of the heart-to-hearts you get with them though, because they have some really cool dialogue with Melia and Shulk.
They do have a lot of really good story aspects and stuff with them.
Keep it locked in right here on Nishquick Pops for more awesome Xenoblade Chronicles 3 coverage on the Way Forward DLC and whatever happens next with Xenoblade Chronicles. And once again, I wanted to thank Blood Aura for joining in on this discussion about Xenoblade. It was a lot of fun talking about a series that I love with someone equally as passionate as I am. And check out his channels in the description below, his Twitch channel, his YouTube channel. Check out his live streams, his reactions, and all that stuff. And thank you to everyone watching. And you want to give a quick shout out to your content once again, Blood Aura, before we close out?
I'm a huge fan of Nintendo games and all things JRPG. I play a variety of JRPG games over on Twitch. I stream them. And in the near future, I will be actually, I streamed all of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 live on Twitch. Those VODs are all on Twitch. But I'm going to be posting reaction compilations for some of my favorite moments in Xenoblade 3, and I'm going to be editing them and posting them on YouTube.
Exciting, definitely check
in the future, sometime in the future.
Yeah. So I've been enjoying your YouTube short, quick reactions. So those are fun. But I'm excited to see a bigger compilation of all the awesome moments. So looking forward to that. And thank you once again. Subscribe, like down below, and thank you to everyone who is watching. This is Nishquick and Blood Aura signing off. Have a great day, and look forward to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC.
I'm hyped. I want it now.
Yeah, same. Later, guys.
Let's go. Later, guys.